derived in which brings about honey, because it's actually a digestive process which doesn't actually pass through its stomach, its digestive system, but it's a chamber within it. So it's like regurgitating and bringing back that very nectar it has acquired. It collects them from all around the flowers. It goes and then bring them together, mix it up with the saliva, and then brings it out through the same opening as mouth. So that's where you get the honey. It's not anything.
I didn't want to get into the level of detail.
It's not anything. This is a scientific process naturally designed by God, you know. Yeah. Yeah. But it's quite the same. It's quite a refined process.
Okay. Okay. You're not exporting honey yet.
No, we're not exporting, but we will start. We're not. I think a key market would be EU. We will start exporting towards the last quarter of this year. The Middle East markets, because the import regulations are less stringent. There's the Agua Act, which we would leverage off that in next year. But I just want to say something. You know, beekeeping is one thing, is one aspect of the value chain. You know, there's this whole, you know, at Sehai Food, there's this whole processing aspect where we're aggregating honey from our various co-ops around the country into our processing facility here in Lagos. We set up a state-of-the-art stainless steel manufacturing layout where the honey comes in. We're not putting any additives into it, but what we're doing is that we're cleaning out the pollen. So some of it comes in, because the honey comes with wax. Some of it has pollens, and the pollens are the propolis. So we have a system in place where some goes into centrifuge, you get in extra wax, and that goes into a wax line. It gets processed, and the wax is what you use for candles and other things I've mentioned. Then the honey itself, it's all aggregated, it all goes settled and processed and bottled. We bottle into PET bottles, and we bottle into sachets. So we're one of the innovative companies that brought in sachets about 2.5 years ago. We're the first on the NAFDAC list with sachets in Nigeria. So it means that honey is now more accessible to the man on the street on the go.
Sorry, Alera. I schooled in University of Nigeria, and around us is a community that has a lot of honey. I mean, you just go out to the street, you see them in gallons, OP Junction and all of that. Yeah, right. But the benefits, besides the economic benefits of honey, let's look at the medicinal side of it, because a lot of people tell you, you have cough, drink honey. You want to clear your throat, like Alera is clearing her throat now, give her honey and all of that. What other benefits are there? When you you're talking about value chain. You talked about the exports part of it. You talked about the bee wax for the pharmaceuticals. Let's look at the other
the
side
propolis.
The propolis, which would go mainly for cosmetics, largely, yeah. So
what are the other benefits?
Benefits of honey. Number one, honey has an antibiotic ingredient. It's antibiotic material in it. So like you hear about Manuka honey. What Manuka has done in New Zealand, so there's honey called Manuka honey from New Zealand. It's very expensive, one of the most expensive honey in the world. And what they did is that they just did a simple test to prove that the Manuka honey had antibacterial properties. Antibacterial, antibiotic properties. So that people, therefore, when you have a cold, maybe you're abroad, home will say, oh, use Manuka honey, because it has been proven. So the problem we have here is that a lot of our honey, we're not showing the unique intrinsic value of our honey. We've not tested it empirically to show that, you know what, if you take honey from a pea, or you take honey, African honey, because our bees are so aggressive, we've been able to prove that it does A, B, C, and D. But generally, you'd find that for colds, it works. It's the grandmother's recipe, honey, ginger, garlic.
Lemon.
Trust me, and lemon, it works. It works very well. It's a very good cleanser for women. They use it for their face mask. In fact, if you look at all the face masks, etc., it does contain honey. So there are lots of, and honey too is a binding agent. So you use it for like cereal bars. A lot of the companies use honey in their processing. You know, the biscuits, the cakes, etc. So there's a lot of other uses of honey. And then as a sweetener, because it's more of a natural sugar, you know, people think, oh, yeah, I'm diabetic, I can eat more honey. Yes, you can eat honey. It doesn't mean you should eat more honey than the sugar. It just means that this is not refined honey. It's not refined sugar. So it's a healthier form of sugar. It doesn't mean you should go and consume it in large quantities. It gives you, it's an energy boost. If you're working out in the gym, like that's why our sachets are very good. You can just open it up before your gym. Instead of using a protein shake, It's a fantastic energy booster. And I don't know if you have any other things to add on why you think
Definitely,
it's...
the other benefits. You could use honey actually in your tea. It actually calms your nerves at night. Before you go to bed, you could take that in maybe milk or in your tea.
Is that Edwin's bedroom or everywhere?
Basically, it calms your nerves. It just makes you relax.
Okay. Are there any
Several other
Nigerian
things.
companies exporting honey right now?
I wouldn't want to comment on that. I'm not the regulator. Why I'm saying that is that there are some companies that are exporting that perhaps have not quite met
The standards.
I mean, you know what the competition is doing. So.
right.
Okay.
There are some that are exporting, but I said they're not exporting in a value-added form, you know. And I think that is, if you really are diversifying a sector, you need to stop exporting in kegs.
Yeah.
Or something that is not well put, and that's where companies like us come in.
Before
with the competitive
before
edge.
we go, we've talked about benefits, you've talked about processing, you've talked about exporting. Where do we find, because there will definitely be areas where we talked about OP. What about the Mambila Highlands? There are other areas
you want
where,
me to
like,
release all my trade secrets on TV?
what I'm saying,
yeah.
you have when you're doing farming, agriculture, for instance, farming, you say you want yams, go to Benue.
Yeah.
You want rice, you have different grades of rice, Katsina, Kebi, Ebonyi, rice. You want salt, Ebonyi, all those things. So you talk
want
about
bees.
So
grades
where
of
do
bees.
you go?
Like talk about the P. Where else?
Like I said, those places you mentioned, why those places are very well known is because in their local society, in their local cultures, over time, they have sort of built an artisan trade around hunting of bees. That hunting is not sustainable because what happens is that people go out into the forest, they get, wild bees, but they smoke and they kill the bees in the process. We are killing the bee population that way.
By smoking.
What we are doing at Seha, and that's what we have spent time, we spent about 2 years building a sustainable co-op program, is to ensure that it's sustainable, so you don't kill the bees. And therefore, every community in Nigeria can key into this.
But I see beehives where they smoke the bees out.
Yeah, that's,
Some beekeepers.
smoking is different from killing. You can smoke and end up killing them. And that take care. If you go into a cave, you take out the whole nest or the hive, the local hive that the bees have set up, and you don't leave any honey and set up one, then there's not going to be a hive there. There's not going to be a honey there. So that's not going to be sustainable.
Do people eat bees, by the way?
Some people do eat bees, actually. They eat the bees with the honey and suck it out. I won't mention where.
Okay. Now, we've got to go, so I'd just like your last word on this.
Okay.
Diversifying the economy, and the focus has been on bee farming.
Okay. I think my last word would be that when we talk about the agriculture diversification and generating income for the country, we cannot leave out beekeeping because, as I've said, the bees enable the pollination. So whatever conversation we're talking about agriculture, we need to start engaging stakeholders in this value chain because this value chain supports the other value chains. And that will enable us to build a better income generating for companies and also for the farmers at the lower level. It's something that shows that we can carry everyone along as we diversify in Nigeria.
Edwin?
Right. Yeah, that's very true because the beekeeping value chain is a very long chain and it's got lots of actors. So if we actually improve on this value chain, we can bring in a lot of people along the line. There's several issues of unemployment. We can actually engage a lot of youth into bee farming. So
just before you go, how much is a liter of honey?
A liter of honey,
pure honey,
is in the range of 1,000 to 1,500 naira now.
Thank you very much.
Right.
Edwin Aguda, Head of Operations, Say Hi Foods, as well as Annie Basi Ayo, Chief Executive Officer, Lani Group, and co-founder, Say Hi Foods. Thank you very much for coming and enlightening us on this all-important sector.
So we should go and drink a cup of honey.
So, you know what? Drink Nigerian honey.
Thank you very much. Sunrise will be right back with another interesting conversation. Make sure you're a part of it.